Alright, we got plenty to talk about this week, and when I say plenty, I mean plenty. Ashes of Creation, Blue Protocol, Genshin Impact, Tower of Fantasy, even Tera Origin shutting down, which may or may not be a good thing depending on how you look at this. Yeah, we have quite the packed week, I was not kidding. Before we jump into today's video though, did you know that we actually have a second YouTube channel as well? MMO by Mobile, featuring top 10s, gameplay, and the latest news on all your favorite mobile games. If you're interested in mobile games, then I urge you to go ahead and check that out. Also, we are going to be streaming Blast Unleashed in just a few hours over on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/MMObyte. Come join us if you want to see what the game's like. It's gonna be a first for us and maybe even a first for you guys too. Otherwise, we have plenty to talk about, so let's go ahead here and jump into this week's weekly bite of MMORPG news. Let's start this off with some Aion news first. We have two different sets of information to cover. First, we have Aion Classic. It was announced that South Korea would be receiving their very own Aion Classic servers for players that want to relive the early years of the once popular MMORPG. With this incarnation of the game, players will be taken back to a time before the game went free to play, as Aion Classic will be a subscription-based MMO, requiring players to pay a monthly fee to participate in the content. It is currently unconfirmed whether or not North America or Europe will be receiving the classic versions of the game, but according to Gameforge, they are currently in talks to port the game over to the European publisher. Finally, the very same European version of Aion has a large update coming, the Prison of Time, that will be introducing, you guessed it, new gear, new monsters, and more. It's not an enormous update, but it is solid in terms of content to do while waiting for something larger. Fans of TERA should know by now that Gameforge has acquired publishing rights for the game in North America after en masse shut their doors recently. But what you didn't know was that not only will the PC version of TERA continue to receive small updates periodically, but the console version is actually going to continue to be developed full-time. As in, the PC version of the game might receive a new dungeon like once or twice a year maybe, but the console version of the game will actually be receiving new classes, new races, entirely new areas. It will be developed as if the game were still played by a large population of players, and this is actually really promising. TERA is an MMO that I will always appreciate due to it allowing for Mrs. Sticks and I to meet. The console version has quite the update plan though, providing players the option to play cross-platform between PS4 and Xbox, something that many MMOs don't actually allow for. Additionally, there will be server merges going on to incorporate that cross-play functionality to allow for players to play together regardless of the platform, so long as they're on the same regional servers. I know players have been waiting for an update on Champions Online for a while now. I've been waiting to jump back into the game until this update went live, but unfortunately, it seems as though that update that was planned for this year has now been delayed until 2021. According to the developers, they had planned for the update to go live this fall, with the update announced back in September, and they apologized for the repeated delays. However, they've just been having difficulties pushing the content out within a reasonable time frame, so their only choice was to delay it. It is unconfirmed when specifically they'll release a new update, with early 2021 being as close to a release date as we get. Recently, the developers behind the upcoming Ashes of Creation MMORPG released a brand new class trailer showcasing the Cleric class in action, or at least the Cleric class from the current Alpha 1 version of the game. The trailer did about what you'd expect. It showed the class's various abilities and how they interacted with not only the character, but also other characters in the world. And while I'm still firmly of the belief that the abilities are still a little, and I know you guys are probably going to be upset that I say this, but currently stiff and clunky, this is a great step in the right direction for the game. I do look forward to seeing what additional class trailers are going to showcase and seeing their progress made over the course of the Alpha 1 test. Blast Unleashed is currently playable on PC. They're holding a closed beta test for the game all week, with the beta access ending on November 9th. While I have not had the opportunity to play it yet, both Mrs. Sticks and I, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, will be streaming the beta today in just a few hours from when this video goes live. And if we don't get through enough content, we will also be streaming it over tomorrow, Sunday at the same time, on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/MMObyte. For players that are interested in seeing how optimized the game is, seeing how much content the game has, players, and overall getting a feeling for whether or not the game is actually going to be worth playing. We'll have a full dedicated look and our thoughts and our opinions on the game up shortly after, probably sometime next week for players that can't make the stream, but for those of you that would prefer to try the game out for yourself, this is the opportunity for all of you too. According to the developers behind Blast Online and Blast Unleashed, they have supposedly, and I quote here, learned a lot of lessons from Blast Online. Hopefully one of those lessons is how to run a game without scamming your players, but I mean, we can only hope. I don't really cover mobile games in these news videos anymore, but every so often I find one that I need to, absolutely have to talk about. Today, that is Tera Origin. The reason I want to talk about it is because Netmarble, the developer behind the game, has revealed that they're shutting the game down. Mrs. Sticks played this for our mobile channel, MMO by Mobile, and as a fan, as a very, very large fan of Tera, said that it was actually absolute garbage. So, you know, it's promising to see terrible mobile adaptations of good PC games shut down. Players were furious when Blizzard revealed the upcoming Shadowlands expansion would be delayed. Yet, if they hadn't delayed it, and it released in the broken state that it was in, players would have also been furious that they didn't take their time fixing the issues ahead of the launch. Yeah, I really do not understand gamers sometimes. It just seems impossible to win regardless of which route you take. Either way, Blizz confirmed a few days ago that Shadowlands finally has a confirmed scheduled release date, November 23rd. Yeah, that is just a mere 2 weeks away. Finally, we'll be able to step into the Shadowlands and see what the expansion truly has to offer, and I am incredibly excited. The first major raid is also scheduled for December 8th, so you have a few weeks to prepare yourself. Mrs. Sticks and I play on the Store Rage server, and we play Alliance, obviously, because words suck. And we will have, hopefully, we will have our guild set up by the time Shadowlands launches. If you guys want to play with us, we will be maining this game probably for the next few months. The last time I did a video on Dungeons & Dragons Online was probably years ago. Man, how time flies. Well, it looks like Dungeons & Dragons Online is actually rolling out their large Fables of the Feywild expansion, or at least they did back on the 5th. The expansion brought with it quite a bit of new content, a ton of new quests, a new area, new zones, a new raid. The expansion pack is currently going for $40 over on Steam for those of you that play the game and are interested in partaking of what this new expansion has to offer. I know if Mrs. Sticks played Dungeons & Dragons Online, she would probably be very excited for this. I mean, it has unicorns, and yeah, that's really all she needs to be excited about a game. I know a lot of you guys are highly anticipating patch 1.1 next week. It'll finally introduce new content for players to do for those of us that are bored with the game. And while I have covered what is coming in the past, the conclusion of the Liyue story, some new quests, 4 new characters, reputations, personal waypoints, new features and functions, I wanted to let everyone know that not only is the game finally introducing its very first seasonal event, Unreconciled Stars, which will allow you to unlock Fischl amongst other things if you haven't already, but the game has also earned $250 million worldwide in its first month alone on mobile devices exclusively, disregarding PC or PS4, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is a lot of people spending a lot of money on the game and is definitely showing the gaming industry where we should be headed moving into the future. It's always promising to see older MMOs receiving content updates, so seeing that Final Fantasy XI is still regularly pushing out content, regardless of if it's large or small, is refreshing. The latest update coming this month features the second chapter of the new story arc, with additional story coming in the coming months. There will be new quests, new missions, new content, and new items added for players to earn as they push through the update. I know there's been a lot of drama going around recently regarding ArcheAge and ArcheAge Unchained, with Gamigo slowly introducing more and more pay-to-win into Unchained, but today we're here to talk about their latest update, Rise of Nalia. The update is scheduled for November 12th and shows no signs of being a paid DLC like their Garden of the Gods DLC was. At least it doesn't look like it right now. Who knows what they're ultimately planning though. New quests will be available that take players into the unexplored area Mitzrain Gorge. There will be new systems, new features and enhancements made to the game. There will be a new PvE siege with a large boss to do battle against, Nalia. Overall, content is content regardless of how large or small, and it's good to see more coming for the game, even amongst allegations of ruining Unchained with the very pay-to-win Unchained was made to avoid. This is a game that I have been eagerly anticipating for a long while now, and with the game being as close as it currently is to being playable, I figured I have to at this point include this here today. I just did a video talking about its latest trailer yesterday, but the game is shaping up quite nicely. I'll have, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, access to play the game this month over on our Twitch channel once again, twitch.tv/MMOBite, for those of you that are interested in seeing how the game plays. And let me assure you, this is going to be quite the spectacle. Elyon had quite a few announcements made last week. On the one hand, we have a 100% confirmed release date for South Korea, December 10th, 2020. This is not an international release, granted, but they did express back when the game went under Ascent Infinite Realm that the game would launch internationally shortly after the South Korean version. Although with Kakao's recently quarterly financial report being publicly accessible now, it looks as though a second quarter 2021 release is when we will be receiving the game over here. However, since the game will launch in South Korea initially, that means that you will be able to play the game if you have access to a South Korean social security number and a VPN. There have been a significant number of overhauled features and functions that I think could be both good or bad for the longevity of the game, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how it ultimately ends up going. While the Wagadoo Chronicles didn't actually require their Kickstarter goals to be hit, they had funding outside of the game, so this was just a means to prove that there was interest in the game. They did manage to end up fully funded, raising around $200,000, which is a crazy number. I know they're backed by Riot Games, so they have all the funding they likely need to build a large, successful MMO, but this goes to show that there is a large number of players that are legitimately interested in the game and its development. The Wagadoo Chronicles is a very different type of game, with a large focus on its community, on its role-playing aspects and non-combat activities, something that will definitely take the game in a very different direction to most MMOs and what people expect out of them. Tower Fantasy recently went into closed beta testing, unfortunately for the mobile version of the game only. While Tower Fantasy is going to be a cross-platform MMORPG, much like Genshin Impact, with the difference being that Genshin Impact is not an MMO, they haven't revealed any information pertaining to the PC testing phase of the game yet. All we're currently shown is gameplay on mobile devices, and I will be looking at it much more closely over the coming days, but I'm hoping that we get a proper look at it on the platform that we're all wanting to see it on sooner rather than later. And finally, what is likely the most important news, Bandai Namco reported that they received more closed beta applications than they'd initially expected for their upcoming beta test, and as such, they will be holding a lottery to determine winners. This was made on November 2nd, 2020. However, since then, players over on our Blue Protocol subreddit have reported that they have been receiving their beta test confirmation emails accepting their application and providing them access to the game. The beta test in question actually starts today, Saturday the 7th of November, 2020 at 7 p.m. Japanese time, so good luck to participants. Make sure you take the time to leave feedback though, as that is what these tests are for. Bandai Namco have not revealed whether this will be their final closed beta test for this year, but considering that we are in November, it's definitely likely. The MMO is still on schedule to launch next year in 2021, likely having a few beta tests leading up to the release to test final functionality of their system, so stay tuned for additional chances to participate in the future. And that is it. That is all of the MMO related news that has been brought to my attention over the course of the last 2 weeks. If you know of anything that I missed, you can go ahead and let me know down in the comment section. You can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or Discord or wherever you can reach me. If you include a link to the article, I can go ahead and read through it, and if applicable, I can go ahead and include it in a future news video. Anyway guys, that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time.
Someday soon I'm gonna make it. Yeah.